What is going on, builders? Welcome back to the channel. Today, we're taking on a serious triple feature. On the bench, as you can see, we have a couple absolute classics, two 1/48 scale Monogram F-100 Super Sabres, and this incredible, unique Kaman HH-43B Huskie helicopter from AMP. I've got plenty of decals. We've got some super cool resin aftermarket parts that we're going to install on one of them, and a massive, massive stack of sprues. So with plenty of plastic in front of me, let's grab a drink together, settle in, and let's get into the build. Every good aircraft project starts with exactly where the pilot sits. For the Super Sabres, the stock Monogram cockpits are okay, but I really wanted to bring these birds to life. So I'm breaking into a classic black box resin cockpit set that my client sent me. And what we're going to do is we're going to clean these up. I love and can't stop recommending this gun primer razor sanding set. It's made primarily for gate removal, but honestly, that set is outstanding. Look it up, gun primer razors, you would not regret it. It's definitely made my work a lot easier, especially when it comes to these smaller details, like the monogram seam. Sanding these tiny parts does take a lot of patience and precision, but it's definitely worth the time put into this. And there's one. We still have one more to go, which is in the resin kit. And next up, we're going to head over to the bottom half of the cockpit. This is going to be the front half of the plane. It's going to go internally in the front, or in the nose section. And here's where we're going to install the aftermarket parts. Just lining it up and showing you exactly where we're going to be cutting it out. And the after. With the resin parts all sanded down and fitted, not glued yet, I'm dry fitting. I'm testing out the placement and making sure that this aligns perfectly with the monogram's lines. I want to make sure everything looks perfect. And we're going to have to cut this part off as well to make sure that the top half of the aftermarket parts fit comfortably. Next up, that's one of the side panels internally going next to the cockpit. Showing you the placement. Again, just dry fitting. And there's the exterior door. And that's going to go on the outside. Next, we're going to prime our aftermarket parts with some Mecha primer. Just to show you the difference. However, let's chill for a couple minutes, sit back while we get these all primed up. Now that we have our cockpit parts evenly primed, we're going to hit it with Tamiya's X1 Black. And the reason why we're putting this as a base paint is because the console and parts of the cockpit has some reflective metallic materials that we're going to bring out with Tamiya's flat aluminum. With those pieces all set and done, we're going to get started with the first base coat of royal light gray. Now be prepared because there's lots and lots and lots of small parts. Next up, we're going to start hand painting some of the details, starting with the above console that has all the dials and gauges. Next up, we're going to paint the cockpit side consoles base black, and then start hand painting the smaller details, little dots of white, yellow, red, orange throughout the entire side console. Following up with some yellow. Let me know in the chat if you feel this way as a painter. What I love about cockpits and their seats is that when you're looking at reference photos, you probably think to yourselves, gosh, they're very bland, but they actually have a lot more colors than we think. And just to give you a little idea, the black, the yellows, the red, the wooden deck tan, the orange warning stickers on the back seat. It's just really interesting to me. Let me know in the comments what you think. Now, to protect all my paint, I'm going to lay down some satin polyurethane matte finish all over my finished painting to flatten the gloss down and to give it that more realistic feel. Looks dreamy, doesn't it? Next, more tiny parts, starting with these petals. Then, the lower half of the computer, which is going to fit right in between those petals. And there is something really cool about an almost finished cockpit. I'm gonna finish up the back. This is where the cockpit glass is gonna sit on. This goes behind it. And next, we're gonna hit it with some panel lining. Give it some grit, give it some dirt. We're gonna spread this throughout all of the two cockpits on the aftermarket parts and on the Monogram stock parts. We're hitting the seats with a combination color of black and gray panel lining. We really want to get this stuff dirty and tone down those colors. Bring it back to reality, so to speak. Next, some white spare to clean it up. We're not brushing it all off. We're going to leave a substantial amount of the gray and black on. We just want to give it some grit. Now that the cockpits are settled, let's get on with the fuselage, the wings, the tails, and the rest of the bodies. We are going to be assembling both of these at the same time, but painting them one by one. With the wings and tails now assembled, we're going to hit this with Tamiya Gloss Black. And the reason for this is because these aircraft have a aluminum finish. So that's going to insinuate the aluminum metallic feel by painting a good gloss black. Next up, we're going to mask the cockpits because we're going to paint that with the gray that's going to go all throughout the interior, which is a medium gray by Tamiya. Of course, we're going to hit the interior with that color as well. With the interior trimming done, we're going to start assembling the cockpits before we put together the fuselages. Now that the planes are together, we're going to hit this with the base aluminum paint, and we're not fully covering it. We want to leave some blotches, some black kind of coming up from the top. But as you can see now, we're just attaching the nose. And there's our finished product at the moment. Next up, I'm going to start masking individual panel lines. I'm going to have to airbrush these panel lines with a darker gray to get them to stand out. The problem with older monographed model kits is that the details are there. They're just sometimes overshadowed with the paint. They're not as refined as they are now in the monograph kits. So we're going to give some extra details by painting the physical panel lines on here. Now, following the same pattern with the base black and the aluminum and the thrusters, I'm going to attempt, keyword attempt here, is to try to color in some of these afterburner burn effects. And with that, I'm going to use some of Tamiya's clear paint line to try to test this out. And I found that the orange is brilliant for that burnt rust, kind of like burnt umber effect, where it looks like it's been burning metal for a while. And as you can see, I was pretty successful at it. I just needed to do some layering and test it out. Next up, we're going to hit some of the plane's details with some flat black, including which I believe is the radar and top of the tail. Onwards to the fuel tanks, and I know a lot of yours favorites, the weapon systems. Leave in your comment which is your favorite model airplane's weapon system that you worked on recently. Would love to read your thoughts. So after a little bit of sanding, we're going to lay down some gloss black as a base, followed by the aircraft's aluminum coating right on top of these fuel tanks. And of course, let's put some movie magic here and get this landing gear all set. Then give it the same treatment we gave the rest of the aircraft. Gloss black and a little bit of aluminum on top. For the tires, we're going to hand paint them with Tamiya's rubber black. To save us some time, I did have to cut out a little bit of video, but we did paint the bomblets with a NATO green and the missiles with a flat white. And onto tiny, and I mean tiny, decals. Now, I'm honest, decaling is not my favorite part, and these were kind of a menace to deal with, but once everything was done, I gotta say it looked amazing. Now onwards back with the NATO green, we're going to start hitting the interior of the the aircraft's landing gears covers. The client requested that these be extended, so we are going to make sure that the landing gear is set up properly, straight, aligned. With the landing gear properly installed, next up is the Tamiya panel lining, and we're gonna generously pour this everywhere. Because what landing gear is clean? Now, armed with a little bit of white spirits, we're going to thin down some of the previous panel lining and leave some trails where the aircraft might have, streaked off some dirt. Then we're going to work with the wing lights, the green and the red. And then start gluing the weapon systems onto their pylons before installing it onto the aircraft. But before that, I did have a little surprise for my client. In the decals did come some remove before use decals. And what I did is I attached the decals onto some cardboard, let it dry, top coated it so it can really stick, and then cut down using a ruler these tiny little tags before using the smallest needle that I had in my inventory and threading them through the pull before use tags. Then I tied them around the weapon system, which hopefully I grabbed correctly, and voila. And towards the end, we're going to start attaching the accessories like the pilot ladder and the antenna that goes at the nose. And there are the small tags that we discussed earlier. It was a pain, I'll be honest, but it was worth the effort. I wish I could have grabbed the sew-in part. It had me so frustrated. You would have been delighted. Now that both planes are practically done, we're going to move on to masking the antennas because it is white with some red stripes. And as you can see, I masked that down, and we're going to paint that with some Tamiya flat red and finish off the staircase with a metallic gray. Lastly, I'm showing you the three paints that I'm using for the pilots: the Nito black, Nito green, the gray, and of course the skin tone. And we're going to hit that up with a little bit of panel lining to give it a bit of depth and start connecting all the parts, including installing the pilot and the canopy. Now onwards to the HH-43 Huskie. I'm not going to talk much, but I will say this. This is my first helicopter that I've completed for a client, and they did request that no decals be placed on this one because they weren't sure exactly which copter they had under their command while they were enlisted in New Mexico. So, following the client's wish, we did exactly that and painted the exterior with what's called a silver gray. It's not silver, it just looks a little tinge of metallic on it. It's a really interesting paint, but to let you guys enjoy the rest of the video, because I definitely enjoyed building this helicopter. Hope you guys enjoy watching it.
was born to be free.
Got a little house party going on here. Anyways, I really truly hope you all enjoyed these 3 amazing aircraft. The best part, customers sending us more because we're recreating a new Mexican airfield into a diorama to basically recreate the client's past experience. This is truly an ultimate project, and the reason why I do this, because to bring smiles across people's faces, including our service members out there, I'm honored. I'm honored to do this work. And I'm honored to have you all with me.
For watching. And if you like this video, make sure to check out some more content to my left and to my right. And of course, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. See you next time. Thanks.